You guys have asked forever. Here it is. Batman Long Halloween. Keep in mind this is a 13-issue story with a lot of subplots, but we cut them all out to give you the core of the plot, which basically tells you how Bruce met Selina, what is the origin of Two-Face, and why is it such a long holiday. It was the night of celebration for Carmine Falcone as he throws a party for his nephew Johnny Vitti's wedding. While the guests enjoyed themselves, Bruce Wayne sits in Carmine's office discussing business. Carmine says that he trusts that since their fathers are more than just friends, that he would be accommodating to the idea of a Gotham City bank doing business with Falcone Imports. Bruce tells him, "Don't count on it. I won't vote or influence the board on your behalf, regardless of whatever position you've gotten Richard to take." Carmine tells him that that is rather disappointing, but nevertheless, enjoy the party, Mr. Wayne. Try the cannoli. It was flown in from Italy, fresh. As Bruce leaves, Carmine's officer Milo asks if he should encourage Mr. Wayne like the others. Carmine tells him no. Richard assures that there is enough votes to make the deal pass, though Bruce would have certainly made it easier. While Bruce entertains himself with the lovely Selina Kyle at the dance floor, urgent matters are brought to Carmine's attention. One where Harvey Dent is snooping around the garage. Down in the garage, Harvey writes down the license plates of the partygoers, telling himself that he really should be home having a nice drink instead of doing this. However, moments later, Harvey feels something hit him from behind, and then several more blows while he's knocked to the ground. Later at Captain Jim Gordon's office, Harvey comes stumbling in and Jim asks what the hell happened. He looks like he's been hit by a truck. Harvey sits down telling him that he went to the Falcone wedding. Turns out he wasn't on the list. Jim tells him, "We've talked about this. No more needless chances. Besides, there's someone who wants to help you." Back at the wedding, inside, a shadow slowly creeps to Carmine's safe and easily cracks the code. A hand reaches in and Batman asks who left the window open. Catwoman shouts that she doesn't have time for this. With neither of them knowing the true identities of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, Batman says that his business here does not include her, and Catwoman jumps at him, telling him she really doesn't believe him. The two begin to struggle and the door is kicked open as Carmine's men begin to shoot inside. Batman quickly throws a smoke bomb, allowing Catwoman and himself to escape, but before Batman can question her as to why she's here, Catwoman has escaped. He then notices the bat signal and he arrives at the police rooftop to find Jim and Harvey standing there. The three discuss their current findings with Carmine, all agreeing to take him down in the right way, allowing the justice system to do the right thing. And just as the lead seems to go nowhere, Batman leaves, leaving behind Carmine's ledger, showing proof of Carmine's shady dealings. The next morning, Bruce Wayne sits in a board meeting regarding the Gotham City Bank and Falcone Imports deal. Bruce Wayne makes it very clear to the board that they should not be doing this. Carmine's money comes from gambling, racketeering, and drugs. They would be laundering it for him, and with that, the deal is stopped. However, for Richard Daniel, the man who assured Carmine that the deal would succeed, he was mysteriously targeted in a drive-by shooting. Shortly after, word got out of Richard's death, and people began to speculate as to who may have done it, and one person starts their work, taping up the grip of a pistol to leave no fingerprints, shaving down the serial number so that they cannot be tracked, and the final touch, the nipple of a baby bottle. Cheap, but an effective silencer. Later that night, Harvey works in the basement, and his wife Gilda comes down the stairs stating that she heard that Richard Daniel had just been murdered. Gilda hugs Harvey, stating that she's just scared for the night when she receives a call and it's going to be. But he stops her and he tells her, "It's going to be all right. I'm going to take care of things." Later that night, Johnny Vitti, the shooter of Richard, gets ready to take his bath. But as he sits down, he notices a creak in the door and a gun appearing and going off. All that's left at the scene is the gun, 2 bullet casings, a torn bottle top, and a jack-o'-lantern. As the scene is processed, Batman meets up with Harvey and Jim to go over the evidence left by the killer, and Harvey mentions that Johnny was shot in the head twice. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. It's as if the killer was telling Johnny Happy Halloween. Bang. And who would have had the stones to whack Carmine's nephew? Maroni? That would have just caused an all-out gang war. While the conversation goes on, Catwoman is across the street listening in on the conversation. Batman appears behind her asking, "What do you want?" And Catwoman says that she's here to be helpful, only because one day she may have to call on him for help. Batman tells her, "No promises," and Catwoman says she'll take that chance. Now listen carefully. Her information leads Batman and Harvey to a warehouse full of Carmine's money that he couldn't launder. Harvey begins to pour the gas on it, and then he lights a match telling him that human lives mean nothing to Carmine, but this is going to be a Halloween that he's never going to forget. After burning the warehouse, Harvey returns home just in time to help Gilda pass out the candy for the night. As soon as he closes the door, someone in the car across the street says, "Do it." And suddenly, his house explodes. Weeks pass, and Batman and Jim bring Mikey Sullivan in on charges of bombing the building that blew up Harvey and Gilda's home. Batman tells him that he knows that he's working with Carmine. The nails left to the crime scene had serial numbers, the ones that you purchased from a hardware store. Mickey tells him that Harvey Dent had it coming. "Yeah, me and the boys did it. But as for who killed Jimmy Vitti, I had nothing to do with that." Mickey is then brought to his cell, but just before entering, the lights flicker, and everything continues as normal. A short while later, Mickey is brought back out, and Batman asks, did the others say anything? Harvey begins to pull the mask off of Mickey and says that Carmine's name didn't come up as one that was talking with Mickey's guys. So the plan now is, with no real hard evidence, is to let Mickey and his boys go and see if Falcone handles the situation. As Mickey and his men leave to sit down for Thanksgiving dinner that night, the same person that killed Johnny shows up. Before any men could grab their guns, the shooter kills all 5 men, leaving the gun in a Thanksgiving basket. Christmas is coming up now, and there's no leads. Batman turns to the only person that he thinks can help, Julian Day, the calendar man. Seeing as how Julian's kills acted similar to the situation, Batman questions if he can offer any insight. Julian tells him, tomorrow is Christmas. She'll be killing again. And Batman says, how are you sure that it's a she? He then says because he likes the attention. No one knows who she is, and already he has made a name for himself, or herself. Meanwhile, over at Maroney's Italian restaurant, Sal Maroni sits down with Toots to discuss how they're going to plant a man in the DA's office to keep watch over Harvey Dent. Toots tells him that they got someone, a kid named Vernon, and then he begins laughing uncontrollably. He falls face first into his food, and the Joker walks up asking Sal, would you care for more wine? Sal goes for his gun, and the Joker pulls out an even bigger gun and says, actually, I'm here to find out who this holiday killer is. Later, once Sal's men arrive to help dispose of Toots, suddenly, Batman appears jumping on the trunk. Sal comes out to see what's going on, and as he reaches for his gun, Batman knocks it out of his hand. He asks, what the hell happened? And Sal shouts, you don't know? Some guy calling himself the Joker showed up today looking for the holiday killer. Batman then asks him, what's his connection to Holiday? And Sal yells, how should I know? He's a lunatic just like him. This whole city is full of lunatics. Elsewhere, Harvey takes Gilda to their new home, and as he picks her up, she says that the doctor told her that she needed to take it easy. He continues to carry her over the threshold, kicking open the door to their new home, and she asks, since they're starting over, maybe they could try and have children again? Harvey tells her, we'll see. And he sets her down, and he notices something in the living room, and he tells Gilda, look around upstairs. He walks into the living room, and Joker says, I found a light that just won't come on. Harvey charges at him, and after punching him, the Joker laughs, telling him, you're no Batman. Just what sort of man are you? This town isn't big enough for 2 homicidal maniacs. If the buzz is true, then Harvey Dent is Holiday, and I won't be as forgiving next time. After leaving Harvey's, the Joker heads over to Carmine's penthouse, whispering into Carmine's ear, you'd better find out who Holiday is, or I'm going to kill everyone in Gotham until he's found. Joker then cheerfully leaves the building. And as Milo comes after him, Joker throws cards in his face. After being stunned for a few moments, Milo reaches down for his gun, and then Holiday appears, shooting him, leaving a snow globe. Later, Bruce arrives at the scene, and this time he finds Joker's cards everywhere. And he silently tells him, have a Merry Christmas, because it's going to be your last. While Batman goes to chase down the Joker, Harvey works another late night on New Year's Eve. However, this night his new employee, Vernon, stops Harvey before leaving, and he says that he found something important, a link between Carmine Falcone and Bruce Wayne. Later, off in the Gotham Harbor, Carmine throws a party for his guests, but one person is outside, Carmine's son Alberto. After a few moments, Carmine's sister, Carla, walks out onto the deck to have a smoke, but she finds that Holiday has struck again. Soon, Valentine's Day arrives, and Bruce Wayne heads over to see Selina for the night. They've been seeing each other off and on since they met all the way back at Carmine's party. As the two of them talk, a flower merchant walks by asking if the gentleman would like to buy the lady a rose. And Selina says, actually, it's going to be her treat. Bruce takes the rose and he cuts himself on the thorn. The merchant says that she's sorry, it's just that the thorns. And Bruce says it's all right. I'm fine. And the merchant just smiles. Meanwhile, over at Sal's restaurant, Vernon informs Sal that Harvey has been targeting him lately, thinking that he is a weak lion in the Falcone organization. Sal pats Vernon on the shoulder, telling him that that's fine. They're going to take care of things now. Try the veal. Just as Sal walks out of the dining room, he hears a noise and he sees his entire staff shot. Outside was a car with more of his men and Holiday's trademark offering. Sal goes to grab the box of chocolates and he shouts, if you want war, I'm gonna give you war. Later, as Harvey gets home late again, he gives Gilda a box of chocolates. And he says that he's sorry he's late. Happy Valentine's Day. Meanwhile, Bruce arrives home from his date with Selina, and as he walks in the door, he continues to smell the flower. Alfred tries to speak to him, but Bruce just heads to the balcony without answering him. As he opens the door, a voice tells him to come. And Poison Ivy tells him, I knew you couldn't resist me. No man can. With St. Patrick's Day coming, Carmine's daughter Sophia is released from Gotham Penitentiary. When she walks into her father's office, Carmine hugs her, telling her that she's been away for so long. Right now, the family needs you. The next morning, Bruce heads into a board meeting with the Gotham City Bank. He tells everyone, after much consideration, I am in the opinion that our former bank president, Richard Daniel, was correct. We should go ahead with the Falcone Imports deal. And then as he leaves, Selina tries to stop him on his way out. He pays her no mind, continuing to walk to his car, and as the door opens, Selina notices Ivy sitting in one of the passenger seats. Later that night, Bruce and Ivy sit down for dinner when Ivy notices a draft passing through. Seconds later, Catwoman appears attacking Ivy. Before she can do any real damage, Bruce grabs Catwoman by the throat, telling her to stop. She quickly frees herself, and as she claws away at Bruce's chest, his shirt rips open, showing Ivy's infection. She then cuts away at the vine, and as the last one falls, Bruce collapses, slowly coming out of Ivy's spell. Meanwhile, over at Sal's safe house, Holiday strikes again, piling up more bodies. And over at Carmine's office, he slides over a stack of money, stating that everyone was against this idea. They have a sort of policy against working with their kind. Ivy reaches down to take the money and says that without Catwoman's interference, it would have been much more accomplished. As Ivy leaves, Carmine tells her that if there's one thing that he's learned in this business, is to expect the unexpected. With the latest murders, everyone, good or bad, begin to think of the theories of just who Holiday actually is. Could it be Catwoman? She shows up at a lot of places. Sal Maroni? He was a person wanting to take control over Gotham from Carmine. Could it possibly be Carla Vitti, Carmine's own sister? Her son Johnny was supposed to testify against Carmine. But while everyone tries to piece their own stories together, their own theories, Bruce Wayne has one that he doesn't want to believe. Harvey Dent. These are all men that he's been trying to put away for a long time. Certainly he would have had the motive. However, Carmine has employed the one man who could solve any riddle to figure it out. The Riddler. Even for him, though, he couldn't make a solid case on anyone, and Carmine quickly threw him out on the streets. Today was April Fool's, the next holiday, the next murder. As the Riddler walks through the rain, he sees a shadow appear and a person point his gun towards him. The gun goes off, except all of the shots miss, outlining the wall behind him. The Riddler doesn't move an inch, and he asks the killer, "No kill?" Next came Mother's Day, and back in town, Carmine's daughter Sophia has been doing legwork to try and figure out who Holiday is. One lead has brought her to a man who spoke of a place in Chinatown that makes custom .22 pistols. The same kind that were always left after the killings. As Sophia heads to the gunsmith, she finds that she is too late. Holiday has silenced the gunsmith before he could even talk. Father's Day approaches, and Sal Maroni visits his father Luigi on his farm to discuss the Holiday situation. Luigi says that what they need to do is get rid of Falcone before something happens to him. And just as he says that, Holiday appears, shooting Luigi in the chest. And all Sal can do is hold his dying father and look at the Father's Day tie that was left behind. Later at Harvey's house, Gilda opens the door to the basement, asking if he's down there. Harvey holds a coin, stating that he went to see his father today. Still as crazy as ever, though. He looks at the coin, stating that justice is like flipping a coin. One side wins, one side loses. But with the bad guys, they always seem to win. Then they just go right back into society, leaving the rest of us to take care of what needs to be done. The next night at Harvey's office, he gets ready to leave when Vernon tells him that they've got someone to see him. Sal stands in his office, stating that they both want a piece of Falcone. Maybe it's time that they sit down and figure out what they can do for each other. The next murder takes place on Independence Day, but Holiday this time kills a civilian, the Gotham City coroner. Batman and Jim process the crime scene, and Batman looks at the gun and asks if there's anyone who can account for the whereabouts of Harvey Dent during this event. Jim tells him he doesn't think, and then as he looks back, Batman is already gone. Weeks go by in a blink, and one night Gilda stops Harvey, asking him to please tell her the truth. She found one of those guns at his workbench, the one that the Holiday killer uses. Harvey quickly snatches the gun, telling her that it's evidence. They've all been working on this case. It has to stop. Gilda then asks, since when did he bring evidence home? And Harvey says that he's the DA, he's always done that, and now he's late. Harvey storms off, and Gilda asks, all the time? Meanwhile, with no further leads, Batman heads to the one man who was murdered and lived, the Riddler. He sits in a dingy bar, and Batman asks, on April Fool's you lived and you saw Holiday. Riddler goes on to take another drink, telling him, yes and no. Batman grabs the glass, demanding to know what Falcone wanted with him. And Riddler tells him, that's a good question. Carmine asked me who I thought Holiday was, but he didn't like the answers that he had gotten. The better question is, though, why wasn't I killed? Was it a gag, or? Batman stops him, telling him, either that or Carmine wanted you to tell the world that he was looking for Holiday's identity. The next day, Sal gets ready to stand trial against Carmine to finally bring him down. But as he's brought into the courtroom, Vernon tells him that Harvey has brought something for him, for his ulcer. Sal asks, since when did Harvey? Never mind, just give it to me. As the trial begins, Harvey begins explaining to everyone how Salvatore Maroni is, in fact, connected to Falcone's group. Sal asks, Falcone? And he begins to cough rather loud. Harvey leans in, asking if he's all right, and as Harvey gets close, Sal takes out the antacid that Vernon gave him and splashes it into Harvey's face. The acid begins to burn away at Harvey's face, and Sal shouts to Harvey, you're a dead man! Did you really think that you could take me down? Later, At the Gotham hospital, the doctors step out and tell Gilda that they're sorry, but her husband is gone. She screams and the doctors state that he's not dead. Gone as in escaped. He then falls over with a scalpel in his back. Later into the night, Carmine's sister Carla sneaks into the coroner's office to look at the records of those that Holiday has killed. However, Holiday is already there waiting for her, and he shoots. With Labor Day around the corner, Batman and Jim meet to go over what they currently have on Holiday. As Batman remains silent, Jim tells him that the evidence they have is incredibly damning. Inside Harvey's briefcase is a .22 caliber handgun. Falcone's ledger would provide names, and he's obsessed. Harvey Dent is Holiday. How long have you known? Batman doesn't respond, and Jim shouts, asking again, how long have you known? Batman tells him he doesn't believe that the man who stood with them on this roof, who made the promise and bond with, would cross that line. He won't believe it. And Jim sighs, telling him, what if you're wrong? And Batman tells him, what if I'm not? Jim turns around and says, go find Harvey. I know what to do. Later, Batman stands on Carmine's balcony asking, where is Harvey? And Carmine tells him, how the hell would I know? That maniac killed my sister, my nephew, and my son. Carmine steps out asking, you know what my family called this past year? The Long Halloween. This all could have been stopped at Johnny, but because my family is dying, you all did nothing. Batman grabs Carmine's finger and he throws him back into his room. Sophia quickly runs in asking if everything's okay. Carmine tells her, I just stumbled, that's all. Later at Harvey and Gilda's room, Gilda steps down the stairs after hearing a noise, hoping it's Harvey. As she walks into the basement, Batman asks, where's your husband? We found the gun in his briefcase, the same as the Holiday killer. Gilda says that he said it was just evidence from the office, and Batman tells her, the grooves in the vise over here have tiny metal filings, gun metal filings. Gilda begins to cry, stating, please, find my husband, find Harvey. Later at the Gotham City jail, Jim tells Sal to get up, they're moving him. Sal then asks, what is this? What is this about, Harvey? You think he's gonna come after me and kill me now? Let him come! The rat! But before he could finish, Sal is shot twice in the head. The guard with Jim jumps and turns, and Holiday opens fire into his chest. Jim scrambles to grab the flashlight, and as he shines it back, he sees that Holiday is Alberto Falcone, Carmine's son who was shot on New Year's. However, before Alberto can pull the trigger again, the guard jumps back up, tackling him to the ground. The guard then punches into Alberto, knocking him down, and Batman pulls off the helmet, telling him, this is only the beginning for you. A few days later, Alberto sits in a cell, and Batman says that Alberto faked his own death to throw off the trail. He picked off his father's enemies, and when his Aunt Carla got close to the coroner's office to learn that the body had been switched, he had her killed too. Carmine comes to visit and asks if there's anything he can do for him, and Alberto tells him no, I don't need anything. Carmine whispers to him, I can get you out of here. Just plead guilty to killing Maroni and only Maroni, and we can fix all of this. Just let go of this Holiday nonsense. And Alberto says, nonsense? Do you even know when my birthday is? I'll give you a hint. It's a holiday. Alberto slams his arms down, shouting, February 14th, Valentine's Day. But you wouldn't know that because you were always too busy working. I had offered to help, but instead, my father sent me away to Oxford. And look at me now. I'm bigger than all of you put together. I am Holiday. The weeks begin to pass, up until Halloween night. Over at Falcone Penthouse, Carmine begins to go through the things, shouting that he could have saved him. They're going to gas his son. Suddenly, the lights go out. Carmine and his men start to make their way downstairs, and then they stop at one of the offices. The office, filled with some of Gotham's more sinister villains, sit there waiting for him. Carmine pulls out his gun, asking, what the hell is this? A voice from behind everyone says, we couldn't stand by while the Falcone family tore this city in half, splitting it from good to evil. Harvey flips his coin, telling him, this is my city. And then something is thrown through the window, and Batman jumps through, throwing more smoke bombs. He begins to isolate, taking out each villain one at a time until he reaches Catwoman. And he asks, whose side are you on? And she tells him the side that she's always been on. Harvey calls out to Batman, shouting, the system will just let Carmine go to jail. He'll be out within days. The problem repeats again and again. And Batman asks if that's Harvey, and Harvey tells him, Harvey is gone. Two-Face is more like it. Batman says that if he pulls that trigger, you'll be no better than Carmine. And Harvey pulls the trigger twice. Carmine's body falls, and Harvey says, 2 shots in the head. If you ask me, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Sophia charges at Harvey, and Catwoman stops her, shouting, what's done is done. Sophia flails and stumbles out the window, shouting, I will kill you! Catwoman tries to catch her, but she couldn't get a grip on her. And Batman tells Harvey, you still believe in Gotham. You are married. You wanted to start a family. Think up Gilda. Give me the gun, Harvey. Harvey walks over, but instead of handing the gun over, he hits him in the head with it. As he escapes, Batman finds that Harvey's assistant Vernon was murdered, and with it, the Holiday trademark. Just then, he sees the bat signal, and he quickly rushes over. Harvey wipes the blood from his hand, stating that he's killed twice tonight. He did what had to be done. And Batman shouts, why? And Jim runs upstairs, hearing the two of them yelling. Harvey goes on telling him, there won't be any judges to bribe, no witnesses who will disappear. The Roman is dead. I killed him. The long Halloween is over. Batman tells him, "We can get you help." And Harvey says, "You're the ones who need help." He holds out his arms telling him, "Go ahead, arrest me. Let's see how the law handles Harvey Dent." As they go to arrest him, Harvey stops them telling him, "You all should have realized there are 2 holiday killers." As Harvey is taken away, Jim asks, "What did he mean by 2?" And Bruce says, "He's always obsessed with the number 2. We'll never know for sure. No matter what, in the end, Harvey Dent was Holiday." So with that, the murders are stopped and everyone went back to their normal lives, except Gilda. She packs up the house to move. She takes a hat, a coat, a gun, and she puts it in the furnace. She closes the door and says, "Let them all think it was Alberto, because no one will ever find out." She believes in Harvey Dent. And there you have it. I know you guys have asked for this for a very long time. I didn't want to chop it up, so we took out all the stuff that really didn't matter overall in the overall plot. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get more of your favorite comic books recapped for you. Also, check out right here to find another classic Batman story. I'll probably link the Hush storyline. And if you click over here, you'll find something recommended by YouTube to you by their algorithm. Could be something good. Could be something bad. I don't know. It's supposed to be on our channel, so I hope it's good. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time right here.